I roll over, grab my phone, I open Twitter, and all I see is like negative news, negative news, negative news, negative news, negative news. Then I go to Instagram. These people's lives are great. These people's lives are great. Then I go to Facebook or TikTok. These people are having fun. My life isn't as fun. All that is like invalidating my lived experience.
We're all more alike than we're different. And sometimes it's hard to remember that when you start your day off with like a lot of the separation that you'll see on social media, a lot of the separation that you see on the news. And that's something to remember. Like it's important to like not just like our brains are wired for negative thoughts. Like our brains are wired to just immediately give you automatic negative responses to the environment. A lot of the time. Most of our thoughts are negative. So if we can't, even if you wake up and you're like, oh, I don't want to do this, and then you go and like roll over and immediately just like either turn on the news or check your phone, that's just gonna give you more confirmation that you're right. The world does suck. People are mean, this and that.
Yeah.
And you're gonna bring that energy throughout your entire day.
Ooh, preach, man. Preach. No,
right? And then I know everyone's like, oh, you're always in the mood and that.
Yeah.
And then people are gonna be your mirror. People are gonna give you back what you give it to them, even if you're not aware of it.
No,
even if you're doing it unintentionally.
Think about what you're saying. It's so correct. Think about like I start off my day, right? I roll over, I grab my phone. I don't do this, we're talking an example. I roll over, grab my phone, I open Twitter, and all I see is like negative news, negative news, negative news, negative news, negative news. Then I go to Instagram. These people's lives are great. These people's lives are great. Then I go to Facebook or TikTok. These people are having fun. My life isn't as fun. All that is like invalidating my lived experience. It's making me probably much more frustrated and disappointed with what my reality looks like because I'm comparing it. We all inherently compare. We have to try really hard not to all these other lived experiences. And that doesn't benefit us, in the big picture. That's all it's going to do is make us feel more drained, like you said, just sort of surviving or existing through these days instead of trying to seize them. And, part of it can be social media. So I think being very intentional about how much of it you're consuming, or like you're saying, which I really agree with, if you have sort of a position where you typically start your day with it, then if you're going to do that, because I remember you mentioned this last time, follow content that brings you joy or encouragement or excitement if you're going to do that, right? Because we can't like change people overnight. You take baby steps. If you're like, hey, I gotta roll over, I gotta check TikTok, then follow something that makes you smile, or makes you encouraged and excited to do what it is that you need to do that particular day. That to me is like a good baby step. So at least you're giving yourself somewhat some energy, as opposed to if you're rolling over and like doom scrolling or you're just seeing a bunch of negative information that doesn't get you excited or motivated to like really want to do anything. I don't think that that's going to benefit you, So if you could put limits and say, I'm just going to do some mindfulness practice first thing in the morning, that would be awesome. But it might take you some time to get there. But at least if you're going to start by using technology or social media, follow some content like Carlos would say that brings you some joy and some motivation.
Definitely. I wholeheartedly agree. Sometimes we forget how much power we have about the stuff that we let in. And especially because, we tend to be mindless and not intentional enough about social media or even what we watch on TV. Yeah. Like we have power and our intention is what these companies are paying billions of dollars for. Like it's literally worth billions of dollars. Like this is what we need to remember. Like our attention is so powerful that these companies are spending billions of dollars every week to literally get us to pay attention to them.
Yes.
So it's important for us to take that time and really decide, make the decision and be intentional about what is it that we're going to allow in throughout our day.
Right there.
Straight up, it's necessary. And we need to remember that. We really need to remember, we're way more powerful than a lot of this, the stuff that we see in the media makes us believe.
Absolutely.
We are truly infinitely powerful. And when it comes to, I also wanted to bring up another practical point as well. This is from the behavioral analytics perspective.
Mm-hmm.
There's this term called PREMARK principle. You might be familiar with it. but to break it down in simple words, like if you follow something that you don't want to do, something that like you really want to do, the thing that you don't want to do eventually becomes more attractive, becomes more fun per se. So for example, this is something that I did when I was getting my master's and when I was in school. That was really helpful for me.
Yeah.
First of all, you identify what your brain tells you that you want to do, which for me at the time was scrolling social media, because it is fun. Again, like they have dopamine departments that are literally centered around making you like release those feel-good chemicals.
Yeah.
So it's not that nobody's saying that like like it's 100% fun, especially if you're following people that like that bring you joy. But if you're spending your entire day in it could be harmful. But you can also utilize those instinctual desires or needs, however you want to call them, and really just leverage them to help you do the things that you know that like will create a better life for you. So for example, what I used to do, I knew I had to get my assignments done, but my brain would be like, yeah, but what if you just scroll on social media for an hour, hear me out. So immediately I would just take a step back. I'm like, okay, so my brain wants to do that. So what I would do, something that I would do with my kiddos when I used to work with them, is first, let's do your homework. And then immediately after, not half an hour, like immediately right after you complete, like let's say that your goal is an hour of homework or an hour of reading, half an hour, whatever it is that your goal is, cleaning your room, whatever it is. Right after that, then you can reward yourself with that thing that your brain is telling you. Like I used to do this with food too. Like I used to be like, oh, I really want to have some snacks. And I would literally have snacks on my desk, and I would eat them only after I completed the task that I have at hand. And that eventually you can start fading that out, and eventually the task itself becomes more rewarding and reinforcing. And then eventually, like you'll start finding joy in just reading your books. You start finding joy in reading your assignments, cleaning your room. So you know that's definitely a technique that helped me a lot to shift to a more present life, and just finding that joy in those little moments, because like we're here for a short time, so might as well make sure that we're present, enjoying every second of it as much as we can.